Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tech Wizards 2022 conference, day 3, as part of the Synergy Trader series on timing research, brought to you by myself, David Kosmeter of Timing Research, and Anka Metcalf of TradeOutLoud. All of these presentations are being recorded individually and will be available on timingresearch.com permanently for you to review anytime. Also, if you search for Timing Research on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, you can find them there. Of course, all of these presentations are for educational purposes only and not intended to be financial advice. Please check with your broker and your financial advisor before you do any type of trading or investing. So first up today, we have Casey Stubbs. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him.
Hey, David, thanks. All right. Well, can people chat with me on here if I ask questions?
Yeah. There is if you find the Zoom
okay, I just found it.
Menu again, there should be chat.
And today, I was going to talk about tech, custom indicators and custom tools, because this is a tech conference. So that was right on point for the topic, right?
Yeah, that sounds great. That's perfect.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, well, I'll just jump in then. All right. Well, hey, thanks, David and Anka. Really appreciate being here. I was just had Anka on my podcast. I'm a podcast host. It's called How to Trade It. And she's mentioned about getting on here. So I thought it would be fun. And so I really appreciate it. So today I'm going to talk about custom indicators and tools, because this is a tech conference all about tech. And so I've got quite a few different tools that I'm going to be showing you here today. And I'm going to mix it up and also show you a strategy in the middle of the tools as well, because they all kind of fit together. But one of the things I wanted to ask is, if you guys, I'm the first session, so we're not totally packed yet, but I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me and see me, and that there's some actual human beings in the audience. So if we could, if you're not a bot and you're a human and you can hear me, could you just let me know in the chat that you guys can hear me and see my screen okay? And I definitely am the kind of guy that likes to have some interaction in my webinar. So I'm going to be pestering you guys a lot to be chatting. I want to hear from you. And if you guys have questions, or I'll be asking you guys questions, because I don't like to just sit and talk and talk and talk. It gets kind of boring. So I like to have a little bit of feedback on my end. So if you would, please just go ahead and use that chat box and let me know if you're able to hear me and see me. So I'm going to just type in something in there as well. Hello, everyone, and see if that works on my end. So I just went ahead and did it. Okay, we got Lawrence. Lawrence, awesome, Lawrence. Well, great. And now I got to turn off my phone. Shame on me. Rick, awesome. Well, Lawrence, I'm glad to see you here, and Rick, glad to see you. I know Lawrence is one of my customers. He's a member of our session, so I'm sure he's going to enjoy this. But thank you so much for coming, Lawrence and Rick. Appreciate it. And so I'm going to just jump in. And so one of the things that I wanted to mention, we're going to start off with is custom technology. So I use a trading platform called MT4, and there's also one called MT5. MT4 and MT5. And one of the reasons that I've been using that for a long time is because of custom tools, right? So most of the tools you can see on my screen right now, since you guys can see, are custom tools. And they're not totally necessary for trading, but in today's world, we might as well take advantage of all of the possible custom things that we can. And I have spent a lot of money over the course of my trading career developing these kinds of custom tools. So just on this MT4 platform alone, and how many of you in here trade with either MT4 or MT5? Is there anybody in the audience here that has MT4 or MT5? Just let me know in the chat. Okay, so I'm getting some comments here. Good. So Lawrence is trading with either MT4 or MT5. Anybody else? Is there anybody else who trades with either of these platforms? And if not, that's fine, because what I'm going to teach is going to have some training as well, but you can get custom indicators on just about any platform and custom tools to just about any platform that you use today. So what I'm going to share now is just go through my tools, and then I also want to share a little bit of how I use those tools in action. So right here, this very first tool is a money management tool, and I always talk about this one first. You can see I'm drawing a circle around it. I'm drawing a circle around this tool, and this is a custom tool. So in trading, a lot of times they will just say buy or sell, and you have to determine when you get in, when you get out, and all of that. And that can be it can take some time, right? So getting in and out of the market quickly is really important because you don't want to have to sit there and take time doing all those calculations. So this tool calculates all of your risk management for you. It's a big time saver for me, and it also helps me manage my risk. And so that alone is good, and I'll show how that works. That's a really important part of it, but it's not, that's not the only thing. The other thing I have is a MACD here, and this is not a normal MACD. It does the same basic things, but I have some additional features built in, which why not, right? Because I can get some custom indicators. So if you've ever used MT4, you might know what the MACD looks like. So let me show you what the MACD tool looks like on the MT4, right? So we just put it on here, and it's not really that nice, right? It's very hard to see, and it just doesn't really have a lot of visual impact. So I designed my own MACD, and I call it the Savvy MACD, right? And so what are some of the cool features of this MACD? Well, the first one is you'll notice this red line here. That red line is divergence, right? So when MACD divergence is a key trading strategy that a lot of people really take advantage of. And what divergence means when the market is making a higher high or a lower low. And so a lot of traders all over the world are looking for divergence all the time. And so if you have the MACD that's built with the trading platform, you have to manually figure out how it works. You have to find the divergence. And yes, that's not that difficult, but every little edge that you can find is a big advantage when you're dealing with indicators. So you can see the difference between the two different indicators, the one that comes with the trading platform and then the custom indicator that I built just visually, right? See how visually this does not look very good, and then this has nice vibrant colors. It's clear, you can see, and we have some things built in like it has the divergence. So divergence is very useful. So the two indicators that I was going to be sharing, or that are custom right now, one is the trade management tool, which is very important, and also the custom MACD. Another thing that the custom MACD does is it has divergence. See, the green line is bullish divergence, the red line is bearish divergence, but we also have what we call these little trigger lines up here, and this is just showing current price momentum. Right, so we thought, well, if we're going to have the divergence, why not have these little trigger lines in place? So these trigger lines, and we also programmed this black dot, right? And this black dot is another special thing just to our MACD, and that MACD is, it basically shows when market could be reversing. Obviously, as David said, trading, trade at your own risk. Trading's risky. Nothing's perfect. Everything there's always failure points and everything, but it's just another visual tool that's really helpful, is this black dot. And then the last thing that I think is really cool about this MACD is that it sends alerts, right? And so this is a custom tool. If you have MT4 or MT5, you go in to the settings part and you can set up alerts. So right here, it'll say alert, yes, true or false. You can turn them off or on. And then you could also have those notifications get sent to your phone, which again is very helpful. Like a lot of people love to trade the MACD cross. So when MACD is crossing, which is right here, you can see here it crosses. Oh, I want an alert. I want an alert, and it will automatically send an alert to your dashboard and to your phone, and it'll put it right up on your computer. So again, that's a really big benefit of custom tools. So you can just compare the difference. The regular MACD doesn't have alerts. The regular MACD doesn't have divergence. It doesn't have trigger lines. It doesn't have a lot of things. This custom MACD in itself is almost a complete trading system all in its own, just because it's a custom tool. And so in trading now, in just about every platform, you can get custom tools. So the other custom indicator I have on this chart is the RSI down here at the bottom. And a traditional RSI has one specific RSI, but we took this and we combined it with a higher time frame, a lower time frame, so we can see what's happening on multiple time frames on the time frame we're looking at. So again, it's custom, and we also added a different speed to it, so we can see what's happening give us a little more clearer picture. And so one of the key elements of this particular RSI is that you'll see that this MACD is really green and it's really trending up, and that's awesome. When the MACD is trending up, we want to try to find buy trades. Well, what this RSI does is it helps you when this red, which is a lower time frame and a little faster, when it comes in and crosses down, even though the trend is up and the MACD is up, you see this red RSI is down. And so we're like, okay, we're not going to trade right now. We're going to wait, right? And then when this RSI comes back up, we then start looking. So when the RSI is down, we're not trading, but when it's up, we try to find trades. So very helpful. And you can kind of see how here it was, this is pretty much where it lines up. It just identifies a pullback in the distance of the greater trend. Okay, so now I want to share with you another tool. We have a lot of tools and we love our tools, and tools are not an end all be all. You got to understand that tools are not an end all be all, but what tools do is they just give you another edge. They give you another way to look at the markets. They just help. They make easier, right? So if I have this money management tool, that's not going to make me a great trader, but it makes it easier for me to become a better trader, right? And so that's helpful. All right, so now another tool that we use, a custom tool, and I'm going to pull this up here. And I keep them on a different chart. This is the same platform, but I just keep it on a different chart so I can see it at all times. And this is a strength tool, right? This will show you what is the strongest, and this is specifically for currency trading, but we have strength tools for indexes and stocks and futures as well. We want to find out what's really moving, what's really strong, right? And so right now we can see that the Australian dollar is really strong. So we have these for currencies, for stocks, and for futures, right? We got all these different power tools, right? We want to find out what's trending. So right here, you can see that the Australian is strong on the monthly, on the weekly, not so strong on the daily. So that means we want to try to find some Australian trades, right? And so that's how this tool works. And then if we change our time frames up here, so this is the 15-minute. Over here, this tool will always be the same, but over here shows you what's happening on a lower time frame. So you can match up lower time frames with higher time frames. So right now it's showing that the euro is the strongest on the 15, but the Australian is the weakest. So the actual strongest right now is the Australian, or is on a 15-minute, it's the Australian's the weakest. But on the higher time frames, it's the strongest. So that is an indication that we're having a pullback, right? A pullback, and we want to be looking for pullbacks in trades. So now, if I come back, I've looked at my currency pair, and now I'm going to go in and I'll take a look at Euro Australian and see what it looks like on a chart. And there was an actual trade that I'm looking at taking here in a minute. So hopefully it doesn't run away from me. I just wanted to trade all this as well. I wanted to teach this as well. So let's go to Euro Australia. Okay, so I pull it up, I add my template with my tools, and you can see here that the Euro Australian, you see how the euro is really strong. It's moved up. But if we go to a higher time frame, let's go to a higher time frame, and you can see that it's way down. It's way down. So in this case, the best way to trade this is to find pullbacks on it to the upside and sell. You want to sell on the pullbacks, and we use this MACD and we use the RSI to find those. So in this case, we have we look for pullbacks, and I'm going to zoom up a little bit, but you can see we're looking for pullbacks. So now that we have it, we know that the Australian's the strongest. So we're going to be like, okay, we're up against resistance. We have a nice, strong price action pattern. Love price action patterns. You know, we have a lot of tools, but it doesn't replace the basics, right? It doesn't replace the price action. It doesn't replace all of those things that people need. It doesn't replace support and resistance levels. So now we have a lot of things moving in our favor right now. We have a really strong currency in the Australian. We have a pullback, right? We have a pullback happening, and we have a strong downtrend. We have now a resistance level up here. Okay, the MACD is red and the RSI is red, or is green. Why did I get my colors backed up? But now all I'm looking for now is for a price action pattern to point lower, and then I'll be looking at entering a trade. So you can see we got that resistance. We got a little bit of a trend line resistance. We have a trend line break. So if I get a pop up into this resistance and another bearish candle momentum, I will be looking to sell, and I'll be looking for indicators to point lower as well. And when we got all those things, then we are ready to go. And that is really important in trading, because I want to try to find the absolute best setup, right? And so I used several different things to do that. I've used my trend direction, and we use the power tools to find the most powerful setups. So we use trend, we use the tool of finding the powerful setup. Then I want to find key levels to trade against. That's my second really important thing, right? These are all things that are helping me find the absolute best, because I will pass on most of my trades and not take them. But I only want to trade the best. And if I can use all of these filters to help me filter out the best trades, then my success is going to be greater. Does that make sense to everyone here that's listening? Does that make sense that finding better trades will help you eliminate the bad trades, and it will help you be more successful as a trader? Let me know in the chat just to see if everybody's still with me and if that makes sense to everybody. Okay, good. We're getting some good responses here. Chris says yes. Lauren says yes. Good. All right. So the first thing I'm looking for is a trend. Second thing I'm looking for is a level. The third thing I'm looking for is a price action pattern, right? And so there's quite a few different patterns I have discovered here. So we've got support here, but we have a pin bar pattern. We've got a kind of a triple top. There's a top here, a top here, and a top here. Right, so we have a triple top, So there's a price action here with that big wick and that candle pointing down, which is like this is actually what I would call an outside candle. If I actually zoom up, these are really important candles. You see that it's an outside candle because this candle broke these previous, see these three previous, and it broke this one, and that one on the bottom. So this one candle broke the high here and it broke the low here. So it covered all of this price action. And what we need to understand is what's happening behind the scenes here is that traders have stop losses up here and they have buy entry orders. So the price might be coming in here, and when it comes in, you've got some traders selling up into this area. You've got stops getting hit, so that's creating more selling, and then you have other traders getting buying, and then it comes right back down and it flushes out all of those buyers. Their stops are getting hit down here, and so now it flushes out a big group of orders and it gives the market the ability to move. And so now we'll just be watching and see what happens inside of this box. But if that big candle cleared a lot out of the way, right? And so we have all the tools that are there to help us and help us be better traders, but we look at the market and still trade according to our strategy. So you might notice right now the trades that I currently have open, I have, and always risk disclaimer, anything can happen in trading, but I have, if you look at the bottom right corner here, I've got $1,600 in open trades in profit, okay, which is kind of cool to be able to have. And I'm very fortunate right now that all the trades are working in my direction. So I figured I would go over all those, but I wanted to also share a trade that I'm looking at taking here. So you'll notice that we have that same outside candle on the S&P, right? So this is the S&P 500. We've got my MACD here is red, but it's getting ready to go lower or higher. It's red and it's getting ready to break back up. We've got that RSI pointing higher, right? So those are some of the tools that I look at. We have that price action pattern, that same one, which is the outside candle. Look, it broke the high and the low. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting that it just took all those out. So the other thing that makes this really cool is that on the monthly time frame, we just had a green month, right? And then it's now red. But if this continues and we break out here, we're going to have another green month. And so we're going to be continuing this big uptrend. You see how strong this uptrend is, but if it breaks, as soon as this breaks this level, which is touching 4541, as soon as it breaks that, it's going to continue, or not, I don't know what it's going to do, but there's a higher probability that it's going to continue because it'll be month is green, and then we go to the weekly. The weekly's green. What do we have on the weekly? We have an outside candle, which is showing that price could be trying to break up because it flushed out the down. It faked lower at the beginning of the week. All those bears that said short, they got in short and then it crushed them. And so that's what it did. And now we're taking out these levels. So I'm looking for this price to continue. The RSI crossed up, MACD is getting ready to cross up. So now we look at the daily time frame. We're up a few days in a row. It's currently pushing into some resistance here, right? So we want to pay attention to that. But if it can withstand this and when I say resistance, I mean these two pen bars, right? But if it can withstand this, it's also got 200 period moving average and break out above, we're looking at a really nice bullish trade because we could get back up to some of the previous highs and maybe even beyond at 48,000 and beyond. So all of this is kept in mind. So I'm going to be looking at this now. Let's go to a lower time frame. So I look at a lower time frame, okay, and I keep all of these stuff in my mind. I know that I'm strong on a monthly or it's moving up. I know that on a weekly it's moving up. I know on the daily it's moving up. And so now we're on a pullback on a 15-minute time frame. So just like what I talked about on the Euro Australian, we've got two potential setups, one on the S&P 500 and one on the Euro Australian. So you'll notice that the S&P has a couple levels right here. We've got price right up here into the top of this level, and we've got this 50-period moving average, and the RSI is pointing lower, the MACD is pointing lower. So what I would be waiting for, like I would not quite be ready to take this trade, but what I would be waiting for is for price to come down into this area. And then I would be looking for a price action pattern to develop, because I have the trend. We know that the trend is long, it's green, the trend is moving up, everything's in the right direction. We'd be looking for it to come down into this area, maybe consolidate a little bit. You know, if we look back at what happened previously, how did that work? Well, we went up into this resistance, we came down, we sat on this level, and then we took over, right? And so you'll notice here, we got the RSI pointing up. As it crossed, we got the price action patterns, pin bar, it took out that level. And so that's probably what we're looking for. So like when I say that here, let's take a look at this actual pin, the price action pattern. Let me show the actual pattern that I was looking at. Let me zoom up because I want to make sure you guys can see it. Okay, right here. So right here, we've got this candle pushing lower, and then we have this candle that tried to break, but it didn't. This candle then took out the top, but it wasn't a real strong one. It came right back down, but it did touch out. But then this candle right here broke that top. So again, that's what I'm looking for. If we talk about the outside candle, you know, when you lump all of these together, candles, you add these together and you got an hourly candle. Hourly candle, it's just breaking higher, and it just became an outside candle and cleared all those levels. So right now we're developing a pin bar here. Price could be getting ready to go in the direction that we're looking for to the upside. So I'm not interested in taking any short trades on this at all. So this thing could go break some of these levels lower, but I'm not going to short. Like it could break this and it's like, okay, it just broke the short level. I'm not going to do that because I'm looking at the higher trend. Everybody else or other types of traders, they might be taking it short, and good for them if they're making money. Great. That's their strategy. That's not how I trade. I'm looking to follow the trend, right? And so now I have a candle here that's beginning to form and it's looking like it's going to bounce. And so I probably wouldn't enter this until maybe this candle closes, and then we get a break of one of the previous levels. So if this candle closes right here, and my tool actually tells me that it's going to be closing here in 1 minute because it says bar closes. You see that? So if the bar right here, I like to keep track of when the bar closes. So my tool helps me with that. But if it closes right here, I'll be then watching this level for the price to break above it. And if it does, I'm looking to go for a buy trade. And I could target, a great way to target is you put it down here. You go, you got 108 points to the below here, and you put it up to the top, and it's about 120 up to the top. So you're looking about a 1-to-1. But if I'm looking at it on a higher time frame, I know that there's some nice resistance up here. Let's go to that daily where I had that resistance level. I think it could get right back up to that daily resistance, and I think it could go beyond. So that's something you want to consider. But let's take a look here. I'll just be watching this, and I was ready for this today. I wanted to take this trade going in because I had a feeling that we were going to get some bullish momentum because of the weekly time frame. And I watched that weekly candle. I've been watching this weekly candle for a while, and I was waiting for this to happen. I've been waiting for this, right? And so now that it's happened, I don't want to miss it. I want to be ready. I want to be ready to take it. So right now, I'm just going to continue to watch that and take the trade. And I told you I was going to share a little bit about the money management tools. So I set in the amount of money that I want to risk. And I do that in the settings of the tool. And then I just click custom buy. And I drag my stop to wherever I want it to be. And then I drag my take profit to where I want it to be. Right. And I try to target a 1-to-1. and I'll put my, so right here it's 135 and the bottom is about 138. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. So we're right about a 1-to-1. And so I can put my entry, I can take a market order by clicking market, or I can put a pending order. I can put a pending order as well. So I just drag this yellow line right up here and I'll add a pending order. So right now we're dropping. So I'm definitely not going to take this trade. I don't know what's going to happen. Price might come back down again. But I can right now put my pending order in. And then if price keeps dropping, I can lower my pending order, right? I can lower. So I'm just going to put a pending order in right now. I'll put it in place. And so right now, if price, the order's set. So if you look at my orders down here, you can see that I have a setup on the S&P 500, right? It's looking to get into that trade. So now that I have that going, let's take a look at some of my other trades. You can see that they're in profit here. Let's take a look at them. So the first one, let's go with the first one, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin. So my Bitcoin chart, you can take a look here. The reason I took this Bitcoin trade is I had a weekly move to the upside, right? And let's zoom up a little. You can see weeklies to the upside. And I was looking for it to retest the top of this weekly candle. But overall, on the daily, we were also in an uptrend here for the last 4 or 5 days. We crossed above the moving average, the MACD's pushing up, and I had this little pattern that I had drawn, which was like a megaphone pattern, right? I saw the megaphone pattern, and I know that if the megaphone pattern would have continued, this is where price action patterns come in play, that price probably would have kept going lower. But if it breaks, then we'd be looking for price to go higher. So the way that I did my entry on this was I was waiting for that MACD to cross, or the RSI to cross, which it did. I was lining up multiple time frames in the direction I was looking at. Okay, and then my final entry was just like the one I did before on the S&P, was right here on this pin bar, right? And so that the price went up above there. So I went in and added the position. So now that I'm in the trade, I'm managing my risk. And so I'm keeping my trade in line. Once I'm up a little bit, I like to lock in profit. And so I've got profit locked in. If this level holds and we get another move to the upside, it'll be a really nice winning trade. If we don't, and it goes to the downside, then I can't lose on it. It's a winning, because I've just got a little bit locked in. So it's a win-win situation, right, on my Bitcoin USD trade. And so looks like we just got triggered in. We just got triggered in. See that? So price just went in, it broke that level. We just got triggered in. And like I said, this is not a trade call or anything like that. This is educational purposes only. Trading is very risky, right? And so the thing is, though, I'm trading this off of a very higher time frame. And as I do that, that helps me tremendously with my trading if I'm trying to trade with the strength, right? So let's take a look at that Euro Australian trade that I was looking at. So this one is moving higher and we still have this level. So even if this breaks and it's like, oh, this is a good breakout, I'm not going to take it because it's against the trend right now. It's against the trend. So let's take a look at my Euro Yen trade, which is somewhere. So Euro Yen, I'm up here, and the position is currently up, not a lot, but it's up a little bit. But again, this is the same type of scenario. We have a very strong, let's go to monthly. It's been up 2 months in a row. And what was really important for me, again, is I do use levels in conjunction here, is we have this key level that hasn't been broken in a long time. It hasn't been up here since 2018. And so when it crossed above that, I was very interested in getting in. So I went back, I saw it cross above right here. I wanted to get in back there, which I actually did take a trade and take some profit on it. But then it came back down, and that's when I got in. I waited for it to come back down. I waited for this bottoming out pattern to develop. I waited for the RSI, and then price continued to move up. So now I have this trade. I'm going to lock in a little bit of profit right here so that the position is locked in, right? So now out of these winning trades that I have, I've got 2 of them locked in. And so that helps me with my risk management, because risk management, which is why I created this tool, is really important in trading. Risk management is critical. All right, so here we have oil, okay? And oil was another one. I traded it based off of the weekly time frame and the monthly and all that. So if we go to the monthly, you can see oil's up quite a bit. It's green, green, right? Oil's green across the board. So what do you think? What do you think about the green trend here? Which direction would you be looking for trades? Now, yes, there was a huge pullback, and if you tried to go long at the wrong time, you're going to get crushed, because that's a big old pullback, right? Oil has huge pullbacks, you know, but overall, I'm still thinking green. So it's about me timing it just right. Okay, so I'm thinking green. So price was moving up. So that's basically what I was looking at. So then on the weekly time frame, what did I notice? I noticed that price took this high out. It took the weekly high. We had the same candle. It's that outside candle that I just showed you. There it is. It took this high out, right? So I'm like, okay, now everything's in alignment. The weekly, the monthly, the daily, all of the pairs are in alignment. Everything's moving in the direction I want it to go. I was just patient and I waited. And I actually took this trade. I took it last week. It went up here, and then I put a stop and it took me out of break even. And then as it came back down, I just did it again. I waited and timed my entry to get back in, because yes, it whipped me out, and it will do that. The market will whip you out, but I got back in, right? And so here we have it. I had this little pattern because I was looking for price to go from here. So we have like A, B, B, C, D, and then back up, right? So I was just looking for an ABC to reversal and looking for price to go back up. But now one thing you've got to be aware of is this. You know, you always got to be aware of all these little things, and you know, that's just something that you're going to learn. So right now I'm pushing up, right? Does that mean that this is going to stop? No, it doesn't mean anything, but it does mean that I don't want to risk anything. So I'm going to lock in some profit. So now on all these trades, I have profit locked in. Okay, so if price continues to move up and does well for me, I'll have a nice winning trade. If it doesn't, I'll get out with a small loss, right? So we've got Euro Yen is locked in, oil's locked in. The next one I wanted you guys to look at was Pound New Zealand. So Pound New Zealand is a little bit different. And let me put up my my template here. It's a little bit different in the fact that it has been moving down, right? The last 2 months were down. So why did I take a buy? Well, let me show you what I was looking at. So I was noticing that we were hitting some support levels. And so this was a reversal trade. You see these, but it wasn't a typical reversal. It was a reversal with a lot of momentum. So we had some support, a double bottom support here. But what I had even noticed even more was that, I'm going now to a weekly, was that we had a price pattern developing. we had this, and we had this. Okay, so this is a megaphone, right? And so what happens to megaphones is it comes right back up here. So this is a big move that I'm trying to get a hold of. So I went in here and I watched it on the weekly. I saw 1, 2, 3 weeks up in a row. Okay, and then I go now to, let me clear this out a little bit. I go now to a daily time frame, and I got my break. You see where my entry was? It was on the break of that level, right? So we got, what did we have? It's the same thing over and over again, right? I mean, that's what we're doing in the market. We're finding the same thing over and over again, right? So let me just clarify if you can't see it. Maybe you can. What do you guys see? Let me know in the chat. But here's what I'm seeing. That and that. So what happened? It went down and it took out the bottom. And then it took out the top, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I like those, what they call outside candles, and I like them in the direction of the trend. In this case, the trend was down, but we had momentum. We had a big, huge sideways box. We had 4 days up, right? I had a weekly candle giving me confirmation. I had this weekly takeout. So I was watching weeklies. So we had a big pin bar. So I found the same thing on the weekly, the same thing. It took out this low and took out that high, right? I was waiting for the outside candle to form. Now you'll notice that it took a little bit longer. It took 2 weeks instead of, it took 2 weeks instead of just in one candle. But again, it doesn't matter what candle is saying, it matters what the price is doing. So I know that if I combine these 2 candles and I do a 2-week candle, well, then I'm going to see an outside, right? And so that's what I'm looking for. And I knew that we have that big, huge sideways pattern, right? So I'm just going to go back again to show you how sideways it is. Look at this pattern. Look at this. This thing is straight nothingness. This pattern is straight sideways, right? Straight sideways. See that? Look at that. Sideways since 2017. This is a 5-year sideways market, right? And so people watch these things. The people that are smarter than me watch these. And so I saw that pattern. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna jump on it. And I had the price action. I got the RSI poking up. I got the MACD trigger lines out. And now what's happening again now today? So this is how you could really get excited, is you can now take a long trend. I have currently I've got 200 points on this, 200 pips. But look what's happening. Another outside candle, right? Another outside candle, okay? So when this candle breaks, we have serious resistance here. And I say when, I don't know what's going to happen. It might go right back down. I have no clue. I don't care what the market, I can't predict the market. I can just control what I do. I can either go, I can buy, I can sell, I can control my risk. That's it. I do this analysis and it's helpful, but I'm wrong a lot. But the thing is, you see how I'm managing my risk? That's what matters. If I'm wrong about this and it goes right down, I've got profit locked in, right? So every single trade here, I have profit locked in except for one, and that's the one we just took. And it's actually not working out. I'm looking like I'm going to take a loss, right? So, but it's a tiny loss. It's a super duper tiny loss. No big deal. And I will get back in this. I will get back in this, right? So keeping your losses small is critical. But if I go back to this pound New Zealand, this is where it really gets interesting. If you can get a nice trend like this, and if it breaks this outside candle, like I'm going to actually zoom up here, and I'm going to put a level here. If it breaks out of this, well, then we have a super duper nice level as well. And another outside candle. So what would I do? What would I do? Well, I would add a trade here. So I've got one trade locked in. I can't lose. It's impossible for me to lose here. So I'm going to add another position on this additional breakout, right? And so if I am having a long-term trend, if I believe that this pattern is real, if I believe in the power of the pattern, if I believe that this is real and that we're getting up here, I might have many positions on the way, right? Because it's not going to go up straight. It's going to go up like this. It's going to try to fake people out. It's going to mess with them all the way up. So what if I add positions all the way up there, right? What if that actually is possible? And that's why I take time, and I just lost on my S&P trade, right? I just lost. So that was a fake out. It got me, but it was just a tiny loss, right? Because I'm using my trade management tools. So it was a fake. It faked me out. And I'm okay with that, because I'm just going to now wait for it, and I'm going to get in next time, because if there is a next time, I mean, this weekly might be a fake out, might take me, and then the next thing you know, we're red. And if that happens, if I change direction on this weekly, well, then I might say, okay, now I'm looking for weekly shorts, right? Because it popped up above these levels and it faked me out. I still think it could go back up. I'm still leaning that way until some of these lower levels get taken out. I still am sitting on support. So I will be waiting now for some more price action patterns to develop and look at getting in back on the long side. So right now, I wanted to kind of jump in here and take a look at this pound New Zealand trade for a possible re-entry. So we've got price moving up, MACD crossed over. We've got price action, a nice price action pattern developing. It's taken out quite a few of these different levels. I think that if we get a break of this key level right here, I'm going to add a position. So I'm going to go to my money management tool. And I'm going to click on the custom buy part of it. And it should, let's see what's going on here. Let me refresh it. All right, so we're going to go to the tool. There we go. We got the custom buy. So I'm going to put my entry right here on the breakout of that key level, because I know that on the daily, this is today's high, but yesterday's high, I'm very interested about taking out. So I'm going to have my market order or my pending order right up there. I'm going to put my stop in place. I'm going to put it a little bit below this key shelf to increase my winning percentage. And I'm just going to put my entry in. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention about these entries is, so I have an order in, and as always, this is not trading advice, educational purposes only, all that good stuff. So just another little note here is I will usually try to get out of a trade before I hit my stop loss, right? So if I put this area as my stop, I will work at getting out of the trade earlier. So I use this moving average usually as my actual stop. So I put the stop here, but I don't like getting wicked out. So getting wicked out annoys me. So I will just put my stop, my mental stop. My hard stop is here, which is a tiny loss. If I hit that, I don't care. But I also will see the price actions changing direction, and I'll get out way early. So if I'm risking like 2%, right, and it comes up and we move up and it crosses this, I might get out at like 1% or even 0.5%. And so my losses stay much smaller than what I actually am even risking. So I risk a certain amount, but I'm only, very rarely will I hit the full stop. You saw me hit it on the SP, but one of the things is I was talking to, if I was not talking, I probably would have got out of that one even earlier. So managing risk is really important, and that's why we have all the custom tools that we have with managing risk. It's really important part of what we do as traders. You want to learn how to do that. So just a little heads up on it. If I'm risking 2% and I'm making a 2% target, right? That's a 1-to-1 risk to reward. That's a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And I'll be closing up here in 10 seconds and let you guys have questions and all that good stuff. So anyways, if I lose only 1% and I win 2%, that increases my risk to reward greatly. And that's one of the secrets, is I only target a 1-to-1, but I get out early, and so it increases my risk to reward a good bit. So with that being said, guys, I'll answer any questions, and we're going to close up. I'm going to be respectful of David and Anka, make sure I follow the rules and all that good stuff. But I did have a special gift for you guys too that is really a lot of fun for me. I created a special price action cheat sheet, right? And it's basically some of the things I talked about today. I'm going to put the link in the chat there. It's a free guide. It's a price action cheat sheet. It talks about all those price action patterns that I taught you today. So I put the price action cheat sheet in the chat. If you guys want to grab it, you will love it. It's a free cheat sheet. It's so helpful. Everyone needs to learn those price action patterns. Whether you have high-tech tools like custom tools like what I have or not, you still need to understand the basics, the fundamentals of trading, which is what is happening with price. And that price action cheat sheet will help you with that. And so there you go. What is the moving averages? Moving averages are the 10 and the 200. 10 EMA and 200 EMA. And this particular MACD is one that we created, and it is free. If you download the price action cheat sheet, you'll also find a link on how to get access to the free custom MACD that we created as well. So recommend that you just grab that price action cheat sheet and enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I hope that that was helpful. And you know what, Neil? It can be automated, and we do have some automated stuff that we do as well. Let me show you. I know I've got 1 minute left, but let me just show you. I have an automated strategy right here. And so this is the automation portion of it. I have it turned off right here, but it's a really good automated strategy that we're running as well, just since you asked. All right, that's it, guys. David, I'm passing it back over to you. Grab that cheat sheet, learn price action patterns, use trading tech to help you guys. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, David.